Hello everybody, I'm Anthony from Big Cat. So I'm going to take you through a 10 to 15 minute presentation about our take on building brands, transforming business through digital. Just a bit of an introduction. We've been running for 12 years now. We've got 26 staff across 4 offices, Birmingham, London, Barcelona and Paris. So we work very locally but nationally and more internationally. So and we use as my colleague said, we use a full service approach to how we do things. So when I talk about digital, it's very much integrated into everything else as well, and they can't be taken individually. And as you'll see from my presentation, we work at a very strategic level. And if you want to use digital and you want to grow your brand or business or transform your business, it's very important that you be strategic. So I'll just take you through our approach, which is called the Catalyst, which starts with, and each one I'll try and give an example of how we've used it with an SME, mostly based in Birmingham. So the first thing that we would consider when building a brand is, do you know your audience? And it's quite surprising how many people say, well, everyone's my audience. So you need to be very defined, you need to be very specific. And there are a number of ways you can define your audience, and it can be geo-demographic profiling like AB1, Mosaic and Acorns. And you could also define them by their hobbies and what they do with their pastimes and how they spend their time. It could be what they read, what media they consume, how they consume it, but also the prejudices that they have, and that can affect their buying. So for Perkins Slade, which is a Birmingham-based SME insurance company, one of their target audiences sports clubs and associations. So we did a campaign which was very much aimed at sports clubs, and we did a competition, and about the winning team got 15,000 votes. So it was very digital, but it was very grounded in understanding the audience. So that would be my first tip. The next thing is, when you are deciding what you want to say to the audience once you've defined it, is knowing your key messages. Going digitally, that's your keywords and your keyword phrases, but communications and SEO and digital is, as I said, is very much all wrapped up. So you need to know your keywords, your key messages, what's your personality, what's your tone of voice. So Block Hotel was a new hotel that opened in Birmingham last year, and they were of a kind of Japanese pod-style hotel, very cool, very edgy, very London, but their target audience was business bookers and group bookers from big corporates in Birmingham. So we had to know who they were so that we targeted the key messages very fairly and squarely at them, so that when we were doing electronic newsletters and we were tweeting and we were blogging, we understood very clearly what the key messages, and then for SEO what the keywords were. Are you resourced for success? So Biddle & Webb is a auctioneer and valuer in Birmingham, and when we first met them, we soon realised that they weren't really set up for success. Operationally, visually, tone of voice, who were their audience, they weren't set up for that. So what we worked on was making sure that they were resourced, all of their assets, marketing assets, website. Operationally, they had about 10 people sweeping up the place and 1 salesperson. So operationally, they weren't really set up for success. And equally, whether you've got the skills to deliver. So once you start building your brand, if you can't deliver on the promise operationally, then you're not set up for and resourced for success. So another very key thing for an agency is, how do we know when we've done the right thing? So before we start again, we ask them what does success look like? What are your business goals? What are we trying to achieve? What are the campaign objectives that are aligned with the business goals? So it's no use having a website and all the technologies and tactics in the world if you haven't agreed from the outset what the campaign objectives are and the tactical objectives are before you start. So we do things, hard metrics like sales, product sales, widget sales, whatever it is. But then you can have softer metrics like brand intangibles. So I think what you need to have is a blend of hard and soft metrics. So this was a video game that we launched at Canary Wharf this year, and it was a Chinese company in a joint venture with an American company. And if you've ever worked with Chinese organisations, it's very hard to pin them down to what is it exactly you want, what does success look like. So only by defining what the brand goals are can you then say at the end of the campaign that we've got it right. And what we would also put in place is the big metrics, but also the short-term key performance indicators. So on a regular basis, how are we trying to increase web traffic? How are we trying to increase brand recognition in search terms? How are we trying to, improve softer metrics as well? The next thing is the big idea. So what we try to do is come up with a big idea that you can hang the campaign off. So this is Tails. The big idea was to do a campaign aimed at British Airways. So Tails is a local premixed cocktail brand. So we created a pitch that was pitched to British Airways around airline. What we did as well was coach you're the best. And then if you have a campaign with a big idea, then the tactics flow out of the big idea. So then it's easy to create a digital content strategy for your social media once you have a big idea. It's easy to get sports teams and sports associations once you create a competition about who's got the best coach. So, and with the Age of Wushu stunt, once we'd got, it was about Tai Chi, and we were then, how do we create the biggest stunt we can think of for a computer game around Tai Chi? Then we did a stunt with 100 people in Tai Chi pajamas at Canary Wharf. And then, once you understand the things I've talked about before, then you can do a big idea that the tactics flow out of. Then we get to the channel selection. So you can see that we don't go straight into, oops, did I press the wrong button? Thanks, Mike. So only when all of the other 5 or 6 things are in place, only then do we start thinking about, is it pay-per-click, is it SEO, is it Twitter, is it LinkedIn, is it Pinterest? Only once those other 5 or 6 things are in place do we even think about tactics or technologies. Or so when the question is, how do digital build brands? It's by having all of the other things in place before you even start thinking about, do we need a Facebook page? So and then some of the activities are brand building. So Twitter, blogging, Pinterest, whereas others are very much about sales promotion. So having the blend of pay-per-click, electronic direct mail with sales messages, blending Twitter personality and brand building and expert developing with sales messages. So it's not about sell, sell, sell. Brand is about intangible trust, loyalty building, but you do need to have integrated in the sales messages so that you can hit the hard metrics as well as the brand building metrics. A lot of what we do is events, so we integrate an event into it because that gives a big bang to the social media. So having 100 wushu dancers at Canary Wharf is a great way to develop social mentions and to extend the long tail of digital. But you can also use social listening for intel and research gathering, so you can see how they're all very much integrated. And customer service. I think there's a region in Japan that you can now dial 999 through Twitter to get the emergency services, so you can roll in social media into all kinds of things, and customer service is absolutely part of the brand promise. And then, as I've said, everything's the most important, but this is actually the most important, is that monitoring the results. So only by knowing what you want to achieve early on and who you want to talk to and what tactics you're going to use, and then monitoring them. There is no silver bullet. Is it Twitter? Is it LinkedIn? Is it mobile? Is it experiential? There is no silver bullet. It's kind of best educated guess from however many years experience. I won't tell you how many I've got, but then tracking it regularly through Google Analytics, through talking to your clients, either face-to-face in forums or using SurveyMonkey, MailChimp, etc., to get that intel back. So the client forums and the SurveyMonkey will give you the brand change of recognition of brand message, whereas Google Analytics you can do, I won't go into the tracking that you can do, but that's a lot of how you will track the effectiveness of your digital campaign. But it's very much about layering things. So you can't do one thing, because layering multi-channel is the best way to build your brand and deliver hard metrics as well. And then getting the sales reports back. So if you're working for a company or you work in a company, knowing what the sales are like, or the membership, or the data growth, and you need that feedback loop so that you can see what's working. You can track through Google Analytics. If you do an event, you should see a spike, and then you can track where other spikes or troughs are. So it's very much about monitoring what you're doing and setting out the KPIs at the start so that you know what success looks like. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.